For centuries we'd known them. The humans had clawed their way into the United Planetary Coalition, a ragtag species clinging to membership by the thinnest thread of legitimacy. They'd been part of the UPC for eons by the time the Brosk emerged as a threat, and still they were a galactic embarrassment. Scavengers, swindlers, and rogues, humans were the interstellar equivalent of vermin, a blight on the dignity of sentient life. Their diplomats strutted with primate arrogance. Their militaries bumbled through drills, and their brightest thinkers seemed only a heartbeat removed from the simian ancestors they'd crawled out of. Alone among known races, they turned their weapons inward, warring amongst themselves with a ferocity that baffled us. When UPC peacekeepers intervened to halt their self-inflicted chaos, some human splinter group inevitably howled in council chambers, accusing the coalition of bias, even when all we'd done was strip the guns from their hands and shove impartial mediators into the fray. Their technology was a disgrace. Their ships, cobbled together hulks of rust and desperation, more likely to implode than outmaneuver. Their medicine relied on crude patches and prayers, a far cry from the precision of bioharmonic regenerators. Physically, they were laughable, soft-skinned, hairless creatures with no claws, no venom, nothing but a stubborn jaw strength that barely qualified as a weapon. Their societies were chaotic tangles of misplaced ambition and squandered resources, drowning in petty squabbles. Their languages, plural mind you, were a cacophony of sloppy syntax and tangled phonetics, as if crafted to sabotage any translation matrix bold enough to attempt them. To most UPC members, humans had stumbled into the coalition on a technicality, a barely passable civilization that somehow, against all odds, cracked faster than light travel before anyone bothered to notice them. We tolerated them, but only just. So when the Brosk descended, vicious invaders who glassed 3 UPC worlds, including the sole inhabited planet of a fragile young species, we issued the call for warriors. A rare conscription summons pulsed through the coalition, seeking volunteers to form the first line of defense. We expected the usual: formal replies from member governments, polished fleets from standing armies, maybe a few eager enlistees. What we didn't expect was humanity's response. The first 3 answers came not from their leaders, but from the dregs of their kind: 2 pirate crews and a derelict scrap platform orbiting some forgotten rock. A stationary junk heap volunteered for war. Of the 56 replies that flooded in within hours, 47 were human: outposts, rogue ships, fringe colonies, and only 1 from their official command. It was a farce, a clownish display that cemented their reputation as impulsive braggarts, eager to flex but too disorganized to matter. Their enthusiasm didn't inspire confidence. When the muster was tallied, a measly 193 ships arrived, 75 from their formal navy, the rest a motley assortment of patched-up freighters and corsair rigs. By contrast, the Grell, a single-planet race of near-pacifists, showed up with 360 sleek vessels. The UPC didn't even bother folding the humans into our battle plans. Instead, we tossed them a bone. Play bounty hunters, chase Brosk stragglers, cash in the wrecks. It suited their nature, we thought. Their leaders pouted like scolded children but didn't push back. What followed was a masterclass in humiliation. Human ships limped into UPC docks incessantly, hulls mangled, engines sputtering, sometimes the same wreck twice in a week. The damage told a story of lopsided beatings, with scorch marks clustering suspiciously on their rear plating. They weren't just inept, they were spineless, fleeing at the first sign of trouble. Yet their crews defied logic. Med bays overflowed with humans who shrugged off expert advice, hobbling back to their ships on crutches, bandages still soaked, limbs braced in crude casts. Dock workers and medics coined a saying: every UPC port promised 3 constants: sustenance, shelter, and a human disaster. The war burned out in 2 years, a blink compared to the decades-long slogs typical of interstellar conflicts. The Brosk proved brittle foes, unable to cling to key positions or retake lost ground. Most UPC wars dragged on in stalemates, fortifying a front across light years, a Herculean task. This one didn't. Beyond the initial annihilation of those 3 worlds, no civilian lives were lost planetside, a rarity. The Brosk fought hard, though, averaging 3 UPC ship kills for every one of theirs. Still, their defenses were flimsy, their ships poorly built, their tactics amateurish. Humanity's toll was grim. Half their fleet gone, countless dead or maimed. They never claimed a single bounty. Had their losses not been so steep, we'd have fined them for draining our repair bays and med stations with their futile flailing. When the Brosk and their allies capitulated, a human envoy stood among the council witnesses, as protocol demanded. As a defeated Brosk commander passed, he spat at her boots, a petty jab, we assumed. She smirked, a flicker of defiance we dismissed as tasteless bravado. Disarming the Brosk and extracting reparations took another year. Then came the slow unraveling of their seized data, encrypted transmissions, logs, and visuals from countless fronts. The audio cracked open first, revealing a recurring Brosk obsession, the blood letter. It echoed across their chatter. Every clash, every sabotage, every espionage report. To them, this blood letter was a phantom, a nightmare stitched into their war. We figured it was their term for any UPC unit they deemed a prime threat. The name leaked into our ranks, despite orders to keep it hushed. Soldiers swapped tales of blood letter exploits, each claiming the title. That raid on Aracor 9's orbital guns? That was us, plasma storms from our cannons, bragged one squadron. Light years away, another crowed, we shredded those platforms, guess we're the bloodletters. Soon it was scrawled on hulls, bestowed on veterans, adopted by elite units. By the time we decoded Brosk video feeds, the UPC seemed overrun with self-proclaimed bloodletters. We'd known the humans, or thought we did. They were our bumbling kin, a species we pitied and scorned. That was our mistake. The first decrypted video upended everything. It was early, 10 days before the war's official start. A Brosk hangar cam showed a dozen nearly finished destroyers. Abruptly, workers scattered as a ship screamed past, unleashing a torrent of fire that gutted every vessel in a single pass. The feed cut in 15 seconds. No UPC report matched it. The ship was a blur, unidentifiable. The second video cracked the mystery wide open. A Brosk destroyer's array tracked a lone craft, just a white-hot speck of thruster glow, dodging a relentless barrage in a high-speed atmospheric chase. Comms buzzed with overlapping shouts, but one word cut through: bloodletter. The destroyer landed a crippling blow, shields down, core breached, weapons fading. Victory seemed assured. Then the prey pulled a vertical climb, luring the destroyer skyward. Something ejected from the smaller ship, debris the Brosk assumed until panicked yells identified it. A fusion core, rigged to blow. Too late. The feed died as the core detonated, triggered by a final feeble shot from the fleeing craft. In that split-second spin to fire, the ship's silhouette flashed clear. Unmistakably human. As more footage emerged, parsed and dated, humanity shamed us anew, not with failure, but with audacity. Those 193 ships, nearly their entire combat fleet, had fanned out across the war zone, striking Brock strongholds with reckless, brilliant precision. Denied our squadrons, they hit alone, often before we arrived, gutting factories, depots, relay towers, even flagships, all in ramshackle vessels that defied physics and reason. We'd waltzed in after, mopping up softened targets, oblivious to their groundwork. Bloodletter wasn't a catch-all code. It was the Brosk name for humanity, mad geniuses who danced with death, who shrugged off mortal wounds and roared back into battle. They were the shadows slipping Brosk ambushes, letting UPC ships retreat. They were the boots disabling planetary shields, the pirates boarding command vessels to eject officers and rig explosions before vanishing. They were the ones hijacking Brosk supply lines, leaving them gift-wrapped for us. They freed enslaved crews, stormed the Brosk capital, and held a blade to their leader's spine as he croaked the surrender. The UPC had spent years basking in victory, pinning medals on soldiers who'd scavenged human scraps, lauding breakthroughs humans had engineered. We'd mocked them in ports and council halls, and they'd borne it, silent, unthanked, unbountied. When the truth dawned, we sent envoys to their capital with honors and riches. There, a human-made monument stood, 3 lost worlds cradled by winged figures, myths of their dead's guardians, bearing an inscription: "Give them peace, we'll wield a blazing shield for their graves." They refused our gifts, politely but unyieldingly. We knew them at last, pirates, schemers, chaotic and fierce, and the selfless fire that spared countless souls from the inferno's edge.